Hi, welcome to... welcome. I didn't think about this. Comrades and comradettes? Yeah, okay, let's go with that. To our show.
I'm Cody, that guy that plays guitar back behind the, RP Lumber, and I'm in America.
I'm Laz, and I'm the man that takes jewels and puts them in a little pocket that I made right behind my left nipple so I can smuggle them into other countries out of the jungle. And I'm in China. And then...
I thought it was you on that.
No, oh wait, isn't my... No,
isn't it we flow in, you do the... And we're not across the pond, and then I do, but across the other pond.
Oh, okay. Like, we're not doing a second take. This is the take.
This is the take? Okay,
we're just gonna do this.
We are still practicing, okay. But let's just get the
line. All right. No, and we're not across the pond, but across
the other pond.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying there. I did. Okay, yeah. And then now you.
And this is the show where we decide the fate of the Himalayan albino squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually our whole topic. Let's just scrap today's topic of world building, and let's just talk about the albino squirrel. You know, this is an animal that really truly needs a spotlight. I think they live in their native Oklahoma, where the red dirt there gives them contrast. So when they're scurrying across the red dirt, all the eagles see them, so they go extinct.
So very, very, very difficult to describe. We have to protect them. I'm actually going to throw a wrench in here. I know you're being facetious about this, but actually in Illinois there's a town called Olney that is famous for white squirrels, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's where I heard them. Because I remember when I was a kid, my dad told me about the white squirrels, and I thought he said they were in Oklahoma, but I think all of my memories just mashed into one.
Yeah, because I had somebody in my German class who was from Olney, and it was famous for white squirrels, and I was talking to my parents about it, and they were like, yeah! And I was like, what? How does everybody know this except for me?
Oh, shit. Well, I mean, it would be good for them if... So in the winter, those squirrels would...
They blend right in. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, they need to...
No. Kind of like polar
You
bears.
Need to... Are you saying they're drowning in the ocean now because they're like the ice caps are slowly melting because of global warming? Is that what you're saying, Cody?
That is not what I'm saying, but thanks for taking it that far.
There are no squirrels in the ocean.
How can you be so sure? How can you be so sure there are no squirrels in the ocean?
I've been to the ocean, okay? I didn't see one dang squirrel, okay? And I didn't see no nuts either. Except these.
What about coconuts?
Those aren't nuts.
Coconuts are definitely nuts. It's in the name.
Are they?
I believe they are a nut. I think they're the largest nut.
But, wait a minute, let me think. There's fruits that are called fruit that aren't fruit, right?
That is correct. Well, is that?
Wait, I don't know. I think you were just trying to be agreeable with me there. I was just making shit up.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of fucking fruits. I mean, we call peanuts, but they're actually legumes.
Oh, yeah, see? Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what a legume is.
It's basically just peanuts. They're about the only legume.
No. How about fucking like peas? Peas are legumes. Beans. All beans are legumes, man.
Are all beans legumes?
Yeah. Dude, have you ever had like fucking boiled peanuts? Those things are just like beans. So really, when we're eating peanuts, I think it's pretty much just like eating like raw beans. You know, don't you ever just take out your black-eyed peas and eat them raw? Just like throw them in a bowl, throw a little milk in there, eat them like fucking rice. You know, and they won't crackle for you, but you know, if you're lucky enough, it'll grow a beanstalk that will grow all the way to the sky, and then you can steal gold from a giant. Yeah, I mean that's happened to me 2 times?
Twice. Okay.
All right. Well. Okay. We're digressing. We should say the show where we digressed into complete nonsense
very quickly
across the other pond.
And welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah, where the regular pond is sanity, and the other pond is the one we crossed over, insanity. So you want to come into sanity, not out of it. Come on, be one of us. Be the insaners.
Join us on the boats to insanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's our topic today, Cody?
This is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. It's something I totally love. It is fantasy and sci-fi world building.
Well, I mean, is it just fantasy and sci-fi, or did we? I thought we were just talking about world building.
Oh, world building, I guess. I like to just say fantasy and sci-fi because they're fun words to say to me. But yeah, just world building in general. It's a great pastime. Honestly, it's fun to let your mind wander and create stuff or read about people's creations, which are super cool. Being able to escape the real world is always a fun time, honestly.
Just to start off with, this definition that I came up with, I know the first episode we did a definition for gamification. And I didn't really look this time. I found one when I was watching Extra Credits. And of course, Extra Credit. I'm watching their videos again. But there's this sci-fi writer called M. John Harrison. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
I have not.
I've never heard of him. I don't know what he does. I looked it up and I looked at some of his works and I didn't recognize any of them, so I already forgot them all. But what he said, world building is the attempt to exhaustively survey a place that isn't there.
Oh, that's a good way of thinking about it. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, because it's like what you were saying, letting your mind wander in the space of your imagination. It's an exercise in imagination, and it also can take us places where we never thought we would go before.
Yeah, I kind of subscribe to Tolkien's J.R.R. Tolkien's way of doing it. I read his letters recently, and a lot of times we talk about that he wasn't creating the world of Middle Earth effectively. He was just kind of writing down the history that was being passed on to him effectively. It was kind of like an out of body idea. He always viewed Middle Earth as an imaginary timeline effectively of the actual Earth, just set thousands of years prior to us being on the Earth. So it's kind of interesting that he views it as a history instead of just him making it up on the spot.
Yeah, and that's that's part of the reason his books feel more real,
Yeah.
It's rooted in actual Earth history, but our history now is way in the future in those stories.
Yeah, I love it. It's super good. So I figure a good way to start this, some interesting conversations about this is talking about the two ways that world building kind of happens. Where there's the top-down version where you kind of build the whole world first and then start slowly focusing in on more minute stuff. So you build the map and then you kind of build what the climates are like and then the history and stuff like that. And then there's the inside out or the bottom up method where you start with a really small village and then kind of just build your world out from that.
Okay. So the macro way of building and the micro.
Yeah, macro versus micro effectively.
Yeah, okay, I see that. And of course with Tolkien, he started really with languages, right?
Yes, absolutely. Language was his he'll describe this a lot in some of his letters, but he came up with the Elvish language, or he started coming up with it. If I remember right, it's based on either Finnish or Icelandic, one of those...
Finnish, yeah, it's Finnish.
Finnish, for sure, and confirmed by Les.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, he started with that, and then he decided effectively that you can't have a language without a history behind it, because there has to be a reason that the language develops. So by having elves come into being and naming things that existed, he could come up with a basis for the language and use the history as a backdrop for why the language might transform, because he had the two types of elven languages. He had Quenya and Sindarin, and he really liked to go into why those were changing.
Actually, I think only like Quenya is based on Finnish.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I don't know Sindarin. I don't know. Like, I haven't really done extensive research on his languages, but all I know, Quenya is based on Finnish. And the other ones, like, they were just like, I've seen trees like that he's made, like language trees for all his languages, where it's like it goes all the way back to the most ancient languages, and then they branch off into all these different families and stuff.
Yeah, and he was philologist was what he always called himself. He didn't say he was a writer. He's a philologist by trade.
Philologist.
Yeah,
and a philologist. Is it?
Something like that.
I thought philology was like the study of literature, or like, what is it? No, not what is it? It's something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's like
the branch of knowledge that deals with the structure, historical development, and relationships of a language.
Yeah, so that's what I was.
Makes total sense. That's exactly what he did.
That's exactly what I was going at.
So you knew more than me.
Yeah, of course. I know more than everyone. Yeah, just let that sink in. I know you're gonna feel a little bit like taken aback by my vast knowledge of everything. But just kill yourself.
If you're so knowledgeable, what am I wearing right now, Les?
Blue.
Okay, I am wearing jeans. You got me.
Yeah. See, I'm the fucking like astrology scrolls of knowledge. Like you ask me a question, and I'll give you the most basic answer that just fills in the blank perfectly, where you would just read into it enough.
The more vague you go, the better your answer is, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly. Like you asked me, it's like who am I? And it's like, well, judging from the sound of your voice, you are a person, and you are Homo sapien. And they're like, oh my god, wow,
he knows me so well.
He got my genius in class. I didn't do that, but I was struggling to find scientific words at that moment just now.
Okay, so back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, so we're talking about macro building and micro building. So and you do this with D&D too, right? Or like, yes. How do you usually do it in D&D?
So
I'm very, very like not attuned to the world of D&D. I've never played D&D, but I want to. I've never had the chance. So you need to, in this episode, you're going to need to really cue me in on these things,
Okay, so, being a DM, for Dungeons & Dragons, you don't have to do this, of course. If you're going to DM for Dungeons & Dragons, there's modules written that already exist in pre-built worlds and stuff, but one of the coolest things about being a DM is being able to create your own world to play in, effectively. You get to, like...
Well, first of all, for our listeners that might not know what Dungeons and Dragons are, what is a DM?
It's a dungeon master is the title. It's the person who runs the game. So Dungeons and Dragons there's two kinds of players. In fact, there's the dungeon master, who's kind of acts like semi as the referee, and then also as the storytelling force, I guess you would say, because I don't think they're actually storytellers, because the player characters are who kind of make the story as they go. So there's the Dungeon Master who does the behind-the-screen stuff. If you've ever seen it, say, like watching Critical Role or any other actual play. And then there's the player characters who just kind of play the game. They just do what their characters want to do in the world, which the Dungeon Master says, if they ask, hey, I want to go here, and the Dungeon Master goes, okay, you're going there, and here's what happens. So the Dungeon Master describes what's happening, and then the player characters decide on a course of action. So it's a cooperative storytelling game in tabletop form with rules for combat, effectively, and you roll everything, kind of the roll of the dice almost, like everything. A lot of things are up to chance, which makes it really entertaining. That sometimes, like, you say, I want to go do this, sometimes the roll of the dice prevents you from doing that, and it's kind of really fun to see how things devolve quickly when nobody's rolling well.
For example, like, maybe in the game I'm in some dungeon. Let's say I'm in a dungeon that the walls are oozing with Elmer's glue.
Sure.
Right?
This
just
white,
like lots of Elmer. It's fucking, Elmer made his own dungeon, Yeah. And so, like, we're trying to deal with all these situations, like throwing paper clips and also office supplies, and I kind of like use my dick to just kind of I don't know, I thought something would come out of it if I put some of the ooze on my penis. And that didn't work, so I rolled the dice, and then I got a 4, so now what happens?
Okay, I'm going to say you did an investigate check to determine whether your penis would be affected with this glue. You rolled a 4 on your investigate check. So, you put the glue on your penis and determine that it is the same substance that comes out of your penis. It just has to be. It's the same consistency.
Okay, so I have Elmer's in my body.
Or, this isn't Elmer's glue. This is cum on the walls.
What?
Now you would rely on your other party members to kind of either reel you in or be like, are you telling the truth there?
Elmer's a pervert. I didn't know that.
He makes a very perverted dungeon. So, the idea being that you're trying to discover what the substance is, like, whether it does anything. With a very low roll at a 4, you can't even pass the easy check of determining this isn't. It's glue.
It makes keyboards. It seems. I checked it out a little bit. I used my level 5 examining skill to check it out and research it, and I found out that when you put it on keyboards, it makes the keyboard very sticky.
I don't.
It also.
Okay, how often do people actually come on their keyboards, though?
Okay, yeah, that's something that I can just... Because, I mean, if you're watching porn, you're going to... I'm pretty sure you're aiming at something that's not something you're going to use every day.
Yeah, right? Well,
like,
unless you're aiming at yourself, kind of.
Well, I mean, like, so you either prepare and you kind of take a tissue to kind of encompass the tip, and just kind of make like a makeshift condom almost, catch it all in one fell sweep.
Right.
Like a cum parachute. Like a cum-a-shoot or something. Cum-a-shoot. That actually has like a double entendre. It also has shoot in there.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
one.
That.
We should probably trademark that.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I'm on that.
Let's get marketing on that.
But see, yeah. I don't understand the whole thing either with that. I think that's just something that the internet came up with to make it funny, I don't think people actually on their keyboards. They obviously do it in shoe boxes and keep it in their closet for years on end and just accumulate just a gratuitous, a terrific amount of semen in a box.
Yeah, that's a classic. Oh man.
I mean, that's what everyone does, right? Right?
I'm gonna go with a no on that, bud. I go with that doesn't happen to everybody.
Well, anyway, why don't we get back into our topic? So, so we got a little bit of taste there.
Kind of the rules
a little bit of a taste to taste.
If you're interested in D&D, please look into playing it. It's lots and lots of fun. But so when it comes to world building for D&D, though, I think that both methods of world building are acceptable. So if you're going to be the big macro guy, you're building a continent for your players to play in. So you kind of want to decide where they're
I see. Like if you're the dungeon master, you want to do a macro approach, you would prepare beforehand, right?
Yeah,
you would
you would prepare this several weeks before your first session. You would have the world you want to create, maybe all the races that are in the world. You'd talk to your players about what characters they get to make and like kind of how their characters will fit into your world. Because you want them to have a sense of belonging to the world that you've made. Like, you can't just be like, I have this world, you're a human in it, and then not tell them whether humans are liked or disliked. Or whether they're, like, most of the times humans are the dominant species in D&D. They're, like, you know, the most prevalent in the system. But say you want to turn that on its head and be like, they're newcomers, like, they're not. So you just want to talk to them, make sure you don't just drop them into your world that you've made and then expect them to know everything. You got to talk to them through the process that you've gone through already.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, with the micro,
so this is kind of a very organic way to build it, where you kind of you want to have a little bit of a loose idea, like maybe like your first starting town, which if you're new, for sure you want to have just a small village, little village, like 20 people in it. You get to make those people, and then kind of with the players, you kind of build this world around where they want to go. Kind of like, say they're like, I want to go north. You can be like, okay, what's in the north now? So you kind of build little pockets of the world as your players continue to grow, and you can put it together, and suddenly you have this fun world that the players have interacted with, and it's really, really cool to see, like, say like, so what's in the north? Probably, like, ice. Ice is normally in the north, big snowy mountains and stuff like that, so they go and they need to get some snowy stuff, so there's usually, like, a mountain pass village. You get a little village there that's a lot of fun to work in, and then maybe, like, and you can get, like, these big, high fantasy stuff that just exists because you build it for your players as they come across it.
And that's, like, a combined effort with all the players, not just the dungeon master, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely cooperative. Like, I've listened to some D&D podcasts and say, like, they start in the village and they kind of have their base characters, like what the races are, and then they'll talk about their homeland, and the DM will bring the homeland into the story at some point, with all of the suggestions that the player character made throughout. Like, say, like, oh yeah, in our homeland we have tons of stuff like that. Like, we have little creeks that go through, and we have little bridges that cross and stuff like that. It's like, you describe the place that the player themselves created, and I think that's a lot of fun to do.
Here, why don't we try to make, like, a little village right now? Why don't we try that?
Okay,
that sounds do like a little bit like an extra. Yeah. Because I feel like this is getting a little abstract. So I think it would be nice to actually bring people through a story, you know? Okay, so why don't you'll be the dungeon master, and I'll be we'll do 2-player mode here, and, like, you'll be the dungeon master, and I will just be a lowly being.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna start you in the town of Buckwheat.
Buckwheat. Okay, I like that.
Buckwheat town. It's a little farming village. They're famous for their golden wheat that they farm here. It's a very prized possession. It makes the best bread on the continent. And what do you want? Good get.
Okay, and I'll be Midas. Can I be the king of this? I want to be the king of this town. I mean, usually towns don't have kings, but I'm going to be the king of maybe a couple dozen people. That's we're gonna say this was a democratic farmer society, so you got voted in because you've worked on the farm for a long time and you know how the democratic
work.
monarchy.
So they believe that you are definitely going to be the best fit to represent their best interests in the bigger city that's to the north of you, called Helios.
Wheatbuck. Okay. Wheatbuck. Alright, come on. Let's do Wheatbuck.
Let's do Wheatbuck. Okay, Wheatbuck, the bigger city, and they grow silver wheat, so they're, like, almost as good as you guys are.
Oh, okay.
But they rely on you
so
for the best. So we got gold.
Oh, okay. But they also grow deer there too. They grow fresh organic deer.
Yeah, they have large
straight
pens.
out of
with deer.
Yes.
And this is how and you guys trade golden wheat for deer because you got to have some meat with your bread. Of course, everybody knows that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna get a nice venison sandwich going on, and because we're so rich, we'll just like spread a little bit of gold flakes on there. Like actual gold. We eat gold, for sustenance.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of your digestive system, effectively. I mean, it's been ingrained in you.
So I have, I opened, I'm the king. My house is actually a sandwich shop in our village. And it's called, Smorgasaffären. Mm-hmm. Which just means sandwich shop in Swedish.
That's awesome. I love it.
Like smorgasbord, That literally just means like sandwich table.
Yeah, I've heard that. I love that.
Yeah, but smorgos is sandwich. So my sandwich shop is called Smorgasaffären. So I'm going to, and the thing is, I'm famous for one thing, the Midas touch. I throw in those gold flakes in my venison sandwiches.
Fucking just right over the top of them. Fucking fantastic. Yeah, everybody comes to your shop, specifically on Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday. Because every other week you're either talking with the people from Buckwheat.
No, wheat
buck, sorry.
Well,
there's also a council of buckwheat members as well.
They're called the Bucks.
They're
called the Big Bucks. They're called the Big Bucks.
You hold the council of the Big Bucks weekly, and then you have your trade with the people of Wheat.
Wheat Buck, right?
Yeah, that's the slightly larger city, but because they grow two different commodities.
Uh-huh.
And you've done some great trade up there. I think we have done a fantastic job of fleshing out these two countries already. Not even countries, in a country.
See, the top guys can be called the big bucks, and then the guys like the peasants and stuff can be called the little Wheaties.
That's cute. I like that a lot.
The little Wheaties, and then every time I come out. And give my like weekly speech, I'll be like, "Lo, my little Wheaties, let me throw on the fresh milk of knowledge onto your bodies." Like that'll be my thing, And I'll give my speak, and it's like, "Lo and behold, today we have made 4 new types of sandwich, and we have now." Before we just had the Midas touch. Now we put the meat. Well, before, usually a sandwich is a bread out. The 2 is a bread, and then inside it's meat. Well, we came up with a different type, a different structure. Now we have the meat, 2 slices of meat, and 1 slice of bread in the middle. Ooh. This is our second sandwich that we are selling at our Smorgasafari. And the third sandwich, it's a bowl of dirt. A bowl of dirt, and you eat it with a plastic fork. It's good dirt, though. It's from the watering hole. It's actually mud. Well, that's dirt with just water in it.
Okay, all right. So
it's still a sandwich. It's a sandwich because it's mud between a slice of air and bowl. You understand? My people? My little Wheaties?
Yes, we understand, our great king! Thank you for bringing us such great food decisions. Alright, so that was an awesome example of organic world building. Where we kind of just started in a little village and developed kind of just like the economic trade maybe in there and fun stuff like that.
Yeah, see, like, I like this. I feel like I have a lot of fun playing D&D, but I don't know, because, like, I like to like, purposely debunk things. like, for instance, like, when I'm playing a game, I'll usually play to lose. Like, for instance, Mario Party, this is a classic example. Like, I'll be playing Mario Party, and, in Mario Party, everyone wants to get the stars, right?
Right.
So, like, I'll get to the star space, and I'll just be like, 20 coins? Oh, man, in this economy, and I'll just refuse, and I'll just walk away. I wonder, I feel like if I get into somebody's D&D group and I do stuff like that, people would kind of get angry,
It depends on how often you do it. I mean, there are fun things you can do that kind of. I feel like the point is, as long as you don't negatively affect somebody else's character or the enjoyment they're having by doing something like that, that it's okay to kind of like screw your own character over.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you can think of it like that. Yeah, I'm not
provided you understand that there are consequences to your actions.
Oh yeah, I love consequences.
Player characters are not immortal in the world of D&D. You, the DM, at their discretion, can have you murdered. It is possible.
Wait, so if you die in D&D, can you just not participate anymore?
You usually roll another character, like, that would come into the story somehow.
Oh.
But yeah, when you lose a character, that character is gone, barring some resurrection spells or some other method that the DM may want to keep your character around. Plot armor can certainly happen if they want to, but usually if you do something really stupid, a DM is perfectly okay with just killing your character in response to an action. Like, I read an example one time about a character that had been told several times that the way orcs act is they respect the honor of a fight the most of all, and will kill you on sight if you were to do, like, if you're shady or anything. If you try to backstab anybody or something like that, they'll just turn around and kill you because they view that as the ultimate insult. And this player, playing a rogue, decided in the middle of an orc camp to try to backstab an orc. Just out in the open for no real reason besides just wanting to fuck around. So, when he missed and the orc caught him, the orc turned around and immediately challenged him to a duel, won, and cut his head off.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Did the orcs eat? Did the orcs eat him?
They did not eat him.
Oh, well, why don't the orcs eat him?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some orcs would have eaten them, possibly. I don't know. That was as far as the story got. I didn't get the aftermath, I guess, but that was just an example I have of actions having consequences.
Okay, well, I want to Dungeon Master this time. Let's start a story right now.
Okay.
I just really quick one. Okay. All right. So, you're in a glass house. You're in a glass dungeon, let's say.
Okay.
You're in a huge, gigantic glass dungeon. And then there's like, and it seems like you're only in one room. Like, you can't see any way to get out. But in the corner, there's a pile of stones, just, about the size of your hand. And so, like, you're just sitting there and you're looking at the pile of stones, like, tantalizingly. And then all of a sudden a bull runs in and it destroys the entire dungeon and it charges the bull upon your body and you die.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a little critique here.
Was that
not, because
was that a fun dungeon?
No, because I had no player agency. There was nothing I could do about you running a bull through my dungeon.
I am your player agency. I'm the dungeon master.
So that was an example of how not to run a dungeon.
come on, I thought it was clever, because you would have thought that it was don't throw stones in a glass house,
now, if
right?
you, like...
But then the bull came in.
Right, hold on, let me, hold on. So if you would pause,
China house.
If you'd paused there, and let me kind of investigate the stones, maybe, and try to do something, there's a little more player agency there. Now, you still would have sent the bull through and completely demolished any plans that I had.
Yeah, a bull in the China show.
Yeah.
See, I took two idioms and I threw them together though.
Anyway.
See?
We've gotten a lot onto D&D, which is not the topic at hand. So, let's talk about...
Why don't we go to Well, here, like, let me list some of the other media for world building besides D&D. Like, so of course, you know, like we were talking about
Tolkien,
there's novels,
of course.
Which you can do that through text or audio, you know, both work. And there's differences in how stories can be told either in text and audio, right? And then there's movies, of course. Then there's video games. And,
video games
are
a great source.
Then there's also LARP, which is, you can say is also part of...
Yeah, you could get there. You could do some...
It's a little... And then also, I would think cosplay is kind of, too. Because, like, it's almost... Like, I have this idea that in order to make a world more realistic, you actually start to make artifacts in the real world to kind of, like, boost the credibility.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Because, like, I was thinking, you know, like, with H.P. Lovecraft stories, you know? The Necronomicon is, like, this big thing in his stories, you know?
Yeah.
And like, a lot of other writers borrowed the idea of the Necronomicon. And then even in The Evil Dead, I mean, when the kids go into the cabin, what they find is the Necronomicon.
Yeah, the Necronomicon.
And then all the zombies start attacking, right? And then that girl gets raped by a tree.
Yeah.
And, well, but see, like, the thing is, like, in The Evil Dead, I think that was the first time they actually made the Necronomicon into, like, an actual thing in reality, and they actually showed, like, what it looks like, you know?
I think you're correct. I think that might be the first Necronomicon showing.
You know, and then after that, like, there was a lot of interpretations of what the Necronomicon looks like. And even today, now, if you wanted to go online and buy a Necronomicon, you probably can. You know, and people have made, like, sketches of what it might look like and all this stuff. And it gives more credibility to Lovecraft's world. Perhaps in the far future, if someone were to just come upon this book, people like, what the fuck? And actually think it might be real. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Like, imagine if society collapsed and one of the only things left was the Necronomicon. H.P. Lovecraft's book would start to look like real history.
Yeah, see, like, so that's something, like, I think in the real world we can kind of make, and even things like cosplay can also be this. You know, like, for instance, in Disney World, you have, like, the Captain Jack Sparrow just kind of, like, lounging around.
Yeah.
Like, it makes the movie, like, so much more real then.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think Disney goes to great lengths to make their world feel real while you're at Disney World. They are very... people have to stay in character all the time. You can't ever come out of character. They want to make you feel like those characters are real things that have existed. And and the world of Disney is this cohesive unit that exists. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely, can be some kind of film, world building going on there for sure.
Yeah, see, like, I mean, like, the media of world building doesn't just, stop at what I just listed there. I mean, like, Disney World with that, it's like, each park has its own theme, and then I've heard they build tunnels under Disney World, like a vast array of tunnels that, you will never see, the workers just walked right in. Like if you work in Futureland in the Magic Kingdom or Tomorrowland, I think it's called, and you and you need to go somewhere else. Like you can't just walk through the other parts in there. You can't just walk through like West or whatever. You know, like you actually got to go through the tunnel so you don't break the environment.
That is what I've heard. I definitely can't confirm that. I've never worked at Disney, so.
Yeah, I had a teacher before that worked at Disney, and she said like above you're supposed to smile all the time, and
yes, I've heard that too.
When you go under Disney, it's the saddest place in the world because everyone just relaxes their smiles and they just want to frown. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of Disney World, I kind of want to share a little anecdote. The one of the last times I was there with my robotics team from Hawaii, and I remember outside of the Aerosmith ride, we had our lunch, and we were sitting at the tables, and we watched a heron, a big white bird, grab a sparrow out of the air and suffocate it to death, and then eat it. During the whole ordeal of that bird being eaten, I did not see a single child walk by. So I don't know if they were preventing children from walking that way to not see that, because it was a solid 10-15 minutes of this bird being strangled out and then swallowed whole. No kids.
Wow. Man. Did you take pictures?
I do believe I have pictures somewhere.
Wow. That's...
Add us on Twitter and I might try to find them.
What? Yeah, just... No, don't send pictures of a bird being strangled and eaten. Okay.
Hey, if people want to see it, just send us some messages at otherpodpod, and I will send you them privately.
Yeah, PM that. Put it on her.
Disney might come after me. I don't want to mess with the mouse.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but to be fair, sparrows are kind of like pests.
Yes.
I've heard that they just are really bossy about where they nest and stuff, and if you want cardinals and pretty birds come your yard, all the sparrows will kick them out. They're just like, this is my yard, you know?
Yeah, I think I've even observed
they're pretty
sparrows
gangster,
being
man.
dicks.
Yeah, so I mean that he got just eaten out of the air. You know, more power to the hawk.
The heron.
Whatever ate him.
It was a big heron, this big long bill. I was amazed.
Wait, what the hell is a herring?
A heron.
Is it like a pelican?
Heron. It's this, it's kind of like a long-billed stork.
Okay. So, okay, I kind of know what you're talking about now.
I guess also it could be called an egret, is the other word.
Oh, okay. I know more about that. But, to me, a herring it can also be a fish, can't it?
A herring is a fish.
Herring is a fish.
Heron. Heron.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that. I was thinking the other day, I'm learning Swedish now, and Swedish people eat a lot of herring, apparently. And one of their most famous dishes that you can probably see people trying having a little tasty taste on the internet is surströmming.
Yep.
Surströmming, and it's pretty much just raw fish in a can that stayed there for about a year, and apparently it smells like fucking the bottom of a dumpster.
And I've heard it also tastes terrible as well, but I don't know. I've heard it's more tradition that they still eat it rather than taste.
But I was watching this one guy. He teaches Swedish on YouTube, and he said the first thing he said is we do not open this indoors, and then he just took it out on a stump in his backyard, and immediately, as soon as he opened that shit, at least 24 flies just started like whizzing about that can, and it's like, and then he sits nonchalantly says, "Well, they certainly like it."
Oh my god!
And then he just ate that shit like just like, and I'm like, and then it's like in the comments below, it's just like that is a true Swede. That is a true Swede. But I'm like, well, I mean, in Norway and probably the other Scandinavian countries, they eat that too, right?
I don't know. I have no idea. They probably do. They probably eat something similar. There was a dish in Norway that I remember.
Lutefisk, right?
That was it. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a fish soaked in lye for like 3 days, which lye is poisonous.
Yeah, but I don't know what. But there's in Nordic countries like, well, I mean, I think Greenland is a Nordic country, right? Greenland, Iceland. I think those are all.
I think they count as Nordic.
Because Scandinavia is Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and then what is it? Like Nordic countries, I think Finland is also part of Nordic countries, and then you have Iceland. What is that? The Faroe Islands, and then Greenland. Those are all
Nordic. Probably
alongside of
the Vikings did some good work there.
Yeah. So like but like they all eat stuff like that. Like I think I saw this one documentary of people in Greenland. I think it is, or Faroe Islands. I think it's the Faroe Islands actually. And like what they do is they take. There's this type of bird there. I forgot what it was called, but it just like they hunt these birds, and then what they do is they put them in like a seal skin, and then I don't know, maybe they add spices or something, and then they bury it under the ground for like a couple months, and then they take it out, and it's just like this nasty gunk, and like. They just eat that, like.
I think a lot of that stems from a time before refrigeration.
Yeah.
Where you would eat anything that could be stored in any way.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that. I mean, I remember watching an episode of like Geography Now where they went to Iceland, and some Icelandic guy brought some real Icelandic like delicacies. I think one is like what is it? It's like Greenlandic shark, and what they do is it's like the same thing. Like Greenlandic shark, if you eat it just like raw or like cooked like right off the bat, like it's like poisonous or something. But if you put it under the ground for like a couple months, you can eat it, and it's actually disgusting, apparently, just like, lutefisk or fucking surströmming, So, like, yeah.
So to kind of relate this back to the topic at hand, if you're building a world, this is kind of a fun little exercise to do, is to make strange foods for, it kind of builds realism in the world, because always take inspiration from the real world if you want to be consistent with the way your world is. Like, everybody has really weird shit in their cultures that things happen, and it's kind of fun to come up with ideas of why do they do that.
And I mean that
weird stuff.
Also, that's kind of like what Dune does, Like, what is it? Like, also, if you've watched Extra Credits recently, they had a video that came out about Tolkien and Herbert. I think the author of Dune is called something Herbert, right? I forgot.
I thought it was Robert something, but I think you're probably more correct.
I forgot. Anyway, people know Dune, and you're looking it up now.
You're right. It's Frank Herbert.
The clicky click.
Yeah, it's
Frank Herbert. Yeah, Frank Herbert.
You had it.
But and then what is it? Like all the names from his novels have roots in languages across the world. Like the Bene Gesserits, I think that's from like Hebrew culture or something, you know. But like, see, he brings like different elements from different languages across the world, you know, and that's one way you can build a world is just borrow things from other cultures like that. And
Absolutely.
then you can also just, process it a little bit, make something new out of it, but have a root in something that is already in the world. And, like you said, with food, for instance, like, why don't you make a dish right now? Just think of a dish.
I'm going to say it is a pork sausage style dish, but they make the pork sausage into this large spiral, and then they just make a line of salt effectively in the center of it, and it represents the duality of the world itself and flavors in pork sausage. So half of it is well seasoned, and the other half it's just separate seasonings. Makes it into like a half and half sausage to kind of go through the duality of good and evil.
Oh, that was surprisingly good for just like that quick.
I don't know. Now I don't know what culture would possibly make that dish, or what their religion would look like. But duality is always
it probably has roots in like German culture or some sort of, or maybe Polish. Like
Polish would probably be the sausage. Best route. Yeah.
Yeah, like and then let me come up with something really quick. Okay, so this is a type of bread that is made out of, let me see, it's made out of black rice, and it's baked in like in lava fields. So they bury it under, they make the batter and they put it in a pot, and then they bury it under the ground where it's really hot, like with volcanic activity there.
Yeah.
And then like they bring it out, and like, kind of like they believe that the nutrients that is in the soil of the volcanic dirt will kind of soak into this black rice bread. And it's just like kind of like them trying to use the geothermic heat to bake things,
Yeah, that's an awesome idea for a culture of people that really hang out close to those volcanoes and stuff. I mean, even if you're just like a mile away, walking 20 minutes to put bread under the earth, like to make bread, that's no big deal. You just walk over there, like, yep, we're gonna put our bread there for a couple hours and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, they do that in Iceland.
That sounds very real, yeah.
This actually is from Iceland, but they don't use black rice. They just use, I think they use, what is it? They use some sort of like black wheat or something. Like, what is rye? I think maybe rye. I think it's a type of rye bread.
Probably.
But see, like you can do stuff like that. I mean, that's food. But what other kind of elements are there in world building that you need to create?
So a great resource for this, honestly, for world building is the 5th edition Dungeons Master's Guide for D&D. It's really, really good. And it'll talk about, so one of the main aspects of a world is, number one, is there a religion or not? Are there many religions? And then, creating a religion for the world is very, very important, because religion is a huge part of the real world. So having some form of religion is a necessity. Like, I think Tolkien described his world not as like a monotheistic religion, but as a naturalist religion or something like that, where the world itself was the god, kind of.
Okay, so yeah,
because Tolkien's stories, I would say they aren't very religious in terms of the way it is, but there is still some form of religion that exists, and that's something really important.
Isn't that just like druids?
Kind of, yeah. Druids definitely fall under the naturalist category.
Oh wait, there's also like other naturalist religions like Wicca, right?
Yeah, they fall under that category as well.
Wicca, Druids. What is the one that? Well, animism is part of that, right? Would Shintoism be part of naturalism?
I would probably think so, because usually they pray to animal spirits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and not just animal spirits, but you can have like the spirits of lakes and rivers and stuff. Right?
Yeah, I would definitely put that as a naturalist. That might not be the right word for it, but it's under that umbrella category.
Yeah, so like I didn't even think about religion actually just then. But I mean, like, you know, kind of like with the Necronomicon, that's like a religious artifact that you're creating in a world, right?
To the elder gods, effectively. So yeah, it's and religion definitely brings a sense of like a binding agent to your civilizations, because
you know
what my world history teacher always said this: culture comes before religion. So you want to build like the tribes first, but they will always create some form of religious bond to come together.
Like kind of like to fill in the knowledge gaps.
Yes, people have to find a reason for things to happen throughout the day.
And you know, there's another thing I was thinking about is like people need a source of sublimity. You know, it's like an escape from the everyday kind of, you know, what would you say, the mundane. You know, it's an escape from the mundane. Because like when you kind of feel like there's something above you, it's almost like, I mean, I think to me, and you know, with reading like Harari's stuff, like the future history and all that stuff, like the human race is just always going forward, you know, and to go forward means to have a goal. And I think to have a goal is to have, especially if you're thinking about evolution, is to have some sort of a source of sublimity. You know, if you don't have God, it's almost like, or some sort of thing that's in place of God, then it's like,
what are you working for? Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying I'm theistic or anything, you know. I'm just saying that, you know, for me, like my thing is with the universe, you know, it's like the universe has a plan, you know, for me, you know, almost like that.
Yeah.
Like, but you know, like, I think this is kind of the reason why it's important to have religious, if you're building a world, especially, you know, like to feel like, and I think, but this might also have to do with like, it might be a human-centric kind of idea, though. We don't know, like, other races, like, I mean, other species, or what would you say? It's not species, not races. Maybe races, kind of like alien races.
In the sense that if you're creating a fantasy or a sci-fi world, races kind of takes on a different meaning than our current one, like elves, dwarves, or if you want to take it like really different, like go with like the Mass Effect setting, sci-fi stuff like that, where you have Solarians and Turians and stuff like that. Those are alien creatures to us, and
I never even thought about that, actually.
Not necessarily religion for them, but an equivalence where they have some reason to get up for the day. Like they have some reason to be camaraderie with each other. They believe in some common goal, and that's kind of what like binds a community together almost.
You know, like it makes me think of what, like, my area of study right now here in China. Like I'm studying Liu Cixin, like the three-body problem, like the author of the three-body problem. Have you heard of the three-body problem?
I have not heard of that.
It's so Liu Cixin actually won the Hugo Award in 2015. So, I mean, the Hugo Award, if people don't know, is like the Nobel Prize of the science fiction novel world, you know? So, like, it's a big deal. And in his story, like, the people from I don't know how to say it in English, I guess the planet of Three Body, you know?
Okay.
Like, they don't communicate, like with words and stuff. They just automatically transfer thoughts, you know?
Oh,
And so,
that's cool.
and what's interesting though is their interaction with human beings is then kind of, it makes it hard because what they need to do is escape their planet, and they want to come down to Earth. They want to take Earth as their own. And so what happens then is when they're communicating with humans, because they're not used to speaking to communicate, when they hear people speaking, like they learn really quickly. They learn all the languages and stuff on the planet. But the problem is, because they're so used to being able to see clearly other people's thoughts, when people are trying to trick them, they don't know.
Oh.
So this is something that humans have over the three-body people. Like, they actually, they can hide their thoughts from you, because they can't do the whole telekinesis, or what is that called? Telepathic communication thing.
Telepathic
communication,
yeah.
So see, like, I think things like that, actually, like, for me, and I've done some research on character building, and even this comes with what Matt and Trey Parker say with South Park, It's like you always have to have something that happens or you have to have a flaw in someone's character design. Like, for instance, if you have long legs and you can run really fast, then what does that mean? What detriments do you have to that?
Yeah, you can't. A perfect character is not an entertaining character.
Yeah, exactly.
Every character has to have some kind of flaw. That you can take that back to D&D as well. It's very important that your character has some form of flaw that makes it kind of interesting to play or to read about or to talk about. Like, nobody cares about a perfect hero. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
That guy's perfect. Like, I think that's the Superman problem. That's why a lot of people don't like Superman, is for a lot of his history he's just drawn as the perfect Boy Scout almost.
Myself, I can't really say that I don't like him, because, like, pretty much when I was a kid, I didn't like any superhero. The only superhero I like is, like, Deadpool. I think he's kind of cool. Yeah. What is I think a flaw in character. Well, first of all, it propels the story, and then second of all, it makes the people more relatable, because there's no perfect person,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, this is one idea I've had about character, like, world creation, is actually sometimes, if you want to make a story, well, actually, this is more like story creation, but, like, if you want to make a story, what you can do is just put some characters with certain traits in a certain environment and just let them interact.
Yeah, just play through how they would deal with the situation. That's definitely, like, a great way to make a story. That's that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try my hand at it, but I've been doing other stuff, and I really want to start writing. I really need to start writing, actually. Like, it's just like I'm too obsessed with learning languages, so I use, like, too much of my day to learn.
Well, so this is kind of a little off topic. Do you want to continue your saying real quick?
Well, I mean, originally, I wanted to talk a little bit about conlanging too, when we didn't even get into that.
Right. I figured we still got like 20 minutes left.
Yeah. I mean, so I was talking for a little bit there, and conlanging is kind of more my topic, but, like, what do you know, about conlanging? We talked about tokens languages. What other kind of when you conlanging, what do you think? How do you think people make languages?
Okay, so
and just your general
my general idea. So further on preface, language is definitely not my strong suit. I don't have the mind for it really when it comes to making it. But what I picture people do when they make it up is you kind of you develop base sounds that you want to use, kind of as your language, like, base, and then you provide meaning to a combination of those sounds, and then you can start branching from there, kind of. Like, when reading Tolkien, he'll be like, this word in Quenya means this, which when you trace it down the line, eventually comes down to meaning this. So you can kind of take words and combine things together, kind of like regular English, where you kind of add ology to something, and then that makes it the study of something. So to make roots and languages like that, that's kind of my idea of how I would go about doing it.
Yeah, like, you know, that's like morphology, you know, with like, adding like, I mean, ology to it, you know?
Yeah.
And ology, even by itself, you know, that's a Greek term, you know?
Yeah.
That's originally from Greek, so even there, you're, when you're giving the example of the suffix ology, you're already, showing like the interweave between different languages, you know?
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, like, you know, that there is that part to it, you know, like making. But see, like the other problem is like, how do you choose sounds to use in your language? How do you choose what is meaningful in that language? That's one of the even more basic problems.
That's a very hard question, honestly. I would say it comes down to personal preference, because, like, speaking from what I know about you, you don't like the Spanish, like, way of speaking, I guess. So
I don't know.
You wouldn't pick Spanish sounds if you were to make a language. Like we talked earlier, Tolkien picked Finnish. He was like, I love the way this language sounds, so I want to kind of emulate it almost.
Yeah. There is some of that, just like, you know, the conlanger themselves. And just to cue in what conlang is, like, you know, like, so conlang comes from constructed language, so it's a portmanteau of constructed and language, so conlang. But like, so like, you know, there's definitely personal preference when you're making a language, but when you're, you know, world, something that's even more important is actually, like, how do you connect the language biologically to your characters and to environment? So, for instance, like, can you think of one aspect of human language and just make as English as a base, and actually most languages in the world, like, what part of the human language shows, like, has influence on our biology, or has influence from our biology?
Okay, I'm gonna use a Hawaiian word that I know. The word is a'a, and it means the pointy igneous rocks that form around volcanoes. And in my mind, a'a is the sound you make when you step on these rocks.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why it was called a'a.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah, exactly. And see, that comes from the sounds humans make. You know? So humans make that sound when, you know, they step on sharp things. I mean, they can make a lot of different sounds, but, you know, the person that first made that up, they said they called it because they probably said that when they stepped on it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised nobody calls Legos that. Okay. But then another thing, our numbers. Why do you think we go to 10?
Because we only got 10 fingers.
No, it's because we only have 10 toes.
Oh, that's probably better, isn't it?
No. I'm just making a little jokey joke here.
All right. I was thinking you look down at your toes and count with your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I just use my proprioception to count with my fingers. Yeah. But like, but see, so think about this: if you're making a race of aliens with only 3 fingers on each hand, then maybe you'd make their language like the way they count based on a 6-base system, a hexagon. See, instead of a decimal system, they'll have a hexal. What do you do? A hexal system?
Hexal. Yeah, hexal.
Yeah. So then the way they look at the world is going to be different. You know, like, so they'll have the hexal system. Their math will be different, first of all, and then like the way they look at things. So like for them, maybe the number in the decimal system, 5 might be a great number. It's a very even number to us because it's half of 10. Yes. But to them, what does 5 mean? 5 is one less than the biggest number,
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like how 9 is like the biggest number before you get to 10,
Yes.
So at least talking about single digits, And so when you get in, and if you're in their system, then you get to 5, and then you have to go up to the next
highest bracket.
Hold on. Yeah, the next digit. Well, yeah, you go into double digits, or they might have a different way of thinking. You can even think about their neurology, like how do they think about the world? And probably also it has a physiological relationship. There's a psychosomatic relationship with the world. So, like, you have 3 fingers on each hand. Well, do you have opposable thumbs? And so can you grab things more easily? For instance, like in English, you can say, I'm not grabbing onto that concept. Well, maybe to a creature that can't grab as well, they wouldn't have that, tendency to speak that way.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. That's really deep in a language builder.
But when you're talking about making a real world, this is kind of what you have to do. And like, kind of like in, I recently listened to one of Lovecraft's audiobooks of, what is it? Like, there's this city in Massachusetts, this town in Massachusetts, I forgot what it is called. Because I listened to it in Chinese, and I forgot what it was called, even in Chinese, but pretty much, like, people would hear, like, they're like fish people or something, and they would hear sounds that these people would make sometimes, and they would describe it as like gargling underwater. And so, like, it's like even then it's kind of cueing on in the language they speak. It's going to sound like more like what their bodies are used for.
What
they're
experience
fish people. Yeah, they're fish people, so their sounds are going to be more associated with water, probably. And then, like, and then even when you're talking about fish, like, especially, like, if they're fish, like, are they amphibious? Can they, like, if they're fish people, they might be amphibious, or they might be, like, they can only stay in water, And so then it's like, how does that affect their language, So what sounds can you not make underwater?
Yeah.
Maybe, make it. Think about, like, trying to make a P sound underwater. It might just make a giant bubble. And then, like, you might not be able to articulate things. I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, have you tried yelling underwater? Like, you can
exactly.
kind of yell words across water. I used to do that in my uncle's pool all the time.
I mean, drowning could be a letter, right?
You're expelling air, not pulling it in.
It's like... Yeah, it's like you're talking to your friend Bobby underwater, and Bobby and he's talking, and then he says the letter drown, and then he's like, okay, and?
Okay, and? You gotta yes and me here, bud. What do we got?
and then he doesn't answer you back, and then you just abandon him because little Bobby, is it Johnny? I always forget the names of the characters I just made. It's just, I always make the same. It's either Johnny, Timmy, or Bobby.
It is. It's always those 3.
But see, like, with creating languages, especially in world building, and when you're making different races, it's like you gotta think about what's important to the characters biologically. Like, there's psychosomatic kind of things that's going on. The environment's also a thing, kind of like in China, there's so many fruits here and vegetables that I have no idea how to say in English.
Oh, really? Like they just don't have, like, translatable names?
Or they probably do. It's just I've never come across it in America, so I don't know how to say it in English. For instance, like, 粽子, I don't know how to say in English. There's also this dish that I came across the other day. What is it? It's called, like, pho something. it's some sort of like soup. But then there's also stuff like what is it? Oh, shan yao. That's another thing that it literally means mountain medicine, but it's like a root that's like when you peel it, when you peel the skin off of it, it's like really weird and slippery, you know.
Very interesting.
And so, yeah, you know, and it's like they're so I only know how to say them in Chinese. I don't know how to say them in English, you know, and so like that's part of the environment, you know, like what grows here that doesn't grow in America, you know. And so then like and then the same thing, you know, in like for instance, you know, like a wok. A wok.
Yeah.
What's a wok in America?
It's a. I mean, we just call it a wok. It's like a skillet, I guess. Also.
Yeah, but what does it look like? You know,
it's a big bowl.
Yeah, it's like a
big
bowl
metal
skillet, right?
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting about this word? This word is actually the word for just pan in Cantonese. Wok.
Oh, really? Wok.
Wok. Yeah, that's get that word from Cantonese. It's just wok in Cantonese. And like so you know, that's the other thing. If you're building a world and you have different places in your world that have different things there, then in the other languages around that world, they'll probably take the word for other like things that are foreign from other countries and use the language from that country to call that thing, but they might change the sounds to fit their language more.
Yeah, like
you know?
We do that with curry as well. Because any like curry is just a sauce. There's any sauce. It's a curry.
It's also I don't know like the etymology of curry. I don't know if the spice came first or there was the spice first. You know.
I would guess, but I've heard this before. I guess I haven't fact checked it, but the story goes that British soldiers were handed a plate of curry, and they just called all sauces from India curry now.
Oh. Yeah, maybe, like, I don't know anything about Indian languages, so, well, except the different types. I've never actually studied them, but, like, maybe that's it. I don't know. I've actually heard someone say something like that before, though.
It might have even been me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you know. But see, like, you see, like, how language can be much more, like, conlanging can be much more than just randomly making sounds, you know?
Yeah,
because like
sure.
for another good example is the Klingon language. When the guy, I forgot his name who made it, I think his name is John something, but like when he was creating the language, he purposely like debunked the regular human tendencies to create language. Like, for instance, in pretty much all language, I think all languages in the world, if there's a V, there is an F. So, you know, like, but favorite. So in Klingon, there's no F, but there's a V. So he was trying to emphasize Klingon's
alienness.
Inhumanness.
Yeah,
alienness. Yeah. Because so he wanted to make it as inhuman as possible when he was creating their language. So you know, like there's a lot of weird sounds in it, and there's a lot of like strange, like clusters of sound in the Klingon language. So then it just emphasized the alienness of that language. You know, so like. There's like almost like political, you know, what intention being almost, you know, and when there's a lot of language conlangs that are like that, like Tokipona literally means like good language, and it's just like supposed to be the simplest language in the world. I think it's made out of like 140 individual
sounds,
like. well, not sounds, but like sound clusters, like that are used like affixes.
Okay.
And so you can just put them together to make new words. Like, for instance, if you were wanting to say, let me think.
Hello world.
Well, like an item, for instance, like a, like let's say a TV. So like like maybe you'll have a word for electric or maybe and easier, like fire or lightning in a language. Maybe you would call it like lit, and then you would call like a picture. You would just call it dope, and then you're calling TVs dope lit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get where you're going.
Yeah, or you can call them lit dope, right? So and then the whole language is like that. You just use the different parts to create the meaning of new words, of new items, Yeah, so like it's like you gotta just make. I mean, I kind of see why Tolkien needed to create this entire world to make these languages, because there's a lot to put. There's a lot of evidence you have to create.
Yeah, you can't just put a language out into the ether and say it exists. It doesn't.
Yeah, you kind of gotta.
There has to be logic behind why certain words are the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta create the environment. You gotta create, and even if you want to make alien races, you need to create, or mythical races, you need to create their biology, pretty much.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty natural place to end our segment here. I kind of want to leave one little thing. This is just a fun little anecdote that I remember about Tolkien. In one of his letters, he was talking about where his interest in languages began. And he was writing a small story when he was like 7 or 8 years old. And he showed his mom. And what sticks in his head about this is that he wrote the sentence, "a green great dragon." And his mom told him, "You have to write this sentence as Great Green Dragon. It can't be the other way around." And it stuck in Tolkien's head so much that he went on to create his own language, because he was so interested in the fact that we can't say Green Great Dragon and it make perfect sense.
Huh. Yeah, kind of. I've seen the video, a video the other day of about a month ago, like saying like you can't say a red big balloon. You need to say a big red balloon.
Yeah, like we've decided as a language that color has to become before the actual object.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and just to kind of add to that anecdote, like I still remember the first time that I got interested in language. I don't even know. Well, actually, I don't even know why I got interested in it. I just remember that when I was a kid, like in 3rd grade, I think it was. Maybe no, 2nd grade. When I was in 2nd grade, I created my first language. It was a really simple idea. It was just that I made a chart where I took all the consonant clusters that I could think of in English, and then I just scrambled them around. So, like for instance, if you have like a race car, I would have like a column that said race, and then a column that said car. And then, like it would say like race would be equal to z. And then car would maybe like be nar. So how do you say race car then?
Zinar.
Yeah, zinar, right? And that even with z, it sounds like, like z, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making that out on the spot, but like, and then after you get the sounds, then you correlate each syllable to a certain, like my language had like it was all the letters had an X, and then inside the 4 corners of the X there would be dots or like little X's. to denote like what syllable you should say there. So like I still remember making that, and then going even further with the unknown in Pokemon.
Oh yeah, making words out of them.
Yeah, like I remember, like I was straight up like in third grade. I learned all the unknown and how to read unknown, and then like I actually would teach my friends. I remember like I had Pokemon class.
Nice.
Like I would like enroll my friends, and then we would go to my house and I would teach them about Pokemon, and then we would write letters to each other in unknown and stuff. And I just remember that being such an influence on me, like writing that first language chorix, and then the unknown that sticks in my head until now. Like that, it just was what got me really into languages. Yeah.
Well, that is an excellent place to end our session today.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, I think so.
So thanks for joining us today on this wonderful session of Across the Other Pond.
Yep.
I'm gonna. If you want to talk to us, we have a Twitter at OtherPondPod. Feel free to tweet us there. You can send us an email at acrosstheotherpond@gmail.com. Wherever you find this, please leave a review. Tell us what we did bad, what we did good. We're still working this out. Having a lot of fun doing it, though.
No, I'm not. This is the worst thing I've ever done. Like it's worse than putting my penis, my hard penis, into a very tiny, exactly shaped like penis-sized volcano. That's how bad this is. I hate it so much from the bottom of my heart.
All right. Well,
okay. All right, but
what's something you want to plug that you enjoy more than the podcast?
Well, I'm just going to say like I'm just going to plug in this great show it started just a few weeks ago called Across the Other Pond. Yeah, if you check them out, they got some good stuff. They're kind of funny. Sometimes that last guy can be a little bit annoying though, like his voice, like when he thinks something's funny, he gets this kind of nasally thing in his voice, and it just makes it. It's like, oh come on, man, why are you laughing at your own jokes, you fucker? So like, yeah, check them out. I think you can see them, listen to them on Spotify, iTunes. What else? Where else can you listen to them?
I've put a request in for something called Deezer.
Okay, well, I don't think anybody knows that, but
we'll get there. Apple and Spotify are going to be our big two. I'm going to get Apple up there today or tomorrow. So,
okay.
By the time this one's up, we'll be on iTunes.
All right. Well, why don't we just end it right there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Where we talk about
and we don't know what we're talking about yet. I didn't even think about that far into the future.
Nope.
Okay, well,
see you later.
Bye-bye.